Okay, good morning everybody and welcome to September's webinar. Today we're going to go through the Mozy web restores, the process in accessing your files online and how to restore them. Okay, so just a brief introduction of myself for anybody who hasn't joined one of these webinars before. My own name is Niall Fahy. I'm the EMEA Technical Education Specialist for Mozy. I do all the internal training for our support agents in our Cork office is where our main support office is in EMEA, and I also do all the external training for our partners. That would be EMEA-wide and generally anywhere outside of North or South America I would cover. Okay, so today I'm just going to do through a brief slide deck. Okay, we'll go through this and just cover off some topics, and then I will do a demonstration through the web restore window, and then we'll finish it up with a Q&A for any questions you may have on the web restore process. Okay, so just a quick overview. So the web restores, basically they're just so that you can access your files from anywhere, from any other machine that has access to the internet. So at any time, if you're even away from your own desktop machine or your own laptop, maybe you're off-site with a customer or something like that, or maybe you're working at home and you need a file that you were working on that day in work from the office, and if your machine was backing up with Mozy, you can access your account online and restore the file. Okay. So there are three different options. You can do direct downloads, custom restores, and use the Mozy Restore Manager. So we'll cover off them as we go through. So just before we do that, just some quick definitions, as you will see them through the slides here, and also when I'm going through the example. The emergency restore process, this just restores all the files on the device. Okay, so you'll see it when we go into the restore window. It's the symbol to represent it is a life buoy. Okay, so it just allows you to restore all the files on your machine. So generally you would only use this restore option when you're actually wanting to get all your files back. So in the situation where you're maybe moving to a new machine, or your old laptop or desktop machine has died, or even if it's the unfortunate situation where it has been stolen. Okay, so you're restoring all your files because you want all them back. It would be the emergency restore process. The Restore Manager, this is a Mozy built software. Okay, that allows you to actually stream the download of your files directly in the background as you work. Okay, so it's similar to, if anybody's used Firefox before, that would have its own inbuilt download manager, and it would be similar to that, except for this one, for the Mozy Restore Manager, it's specifically for Mozy, and it connects to the download that you begin through the web restore window. The Restore Queue, this allows you to create a custom list of files from various locations on your machine, so that you can select files and folders across various locations and build a custom list of files to restore. Again, I'll show you that as we're going through the examples. How do you get to the web restore interface? Okay, so all you need is web access, and you can log in at mozy.com/login. Once you're logged in there, you open your machine and select the option to restore files. Okay, so once you're in there, you click the restore files, it will open up a new window for you, which is the web access window. Okay. From the dashboard that you see from login, you will see profile information, which is the username, your name, your machines then will be under devices, and so on. Okay, you'll also see from there your download history. Okay, so this will be a history of all the web restores created against your account. So, as you know, nobody can restore a file from your account without you knowing. Okay, so Generally, whenever a restore is created online, you will get an email notification of it. But also in the Download History tab from your web restore window, you'll be able to see a list of all your previous downloads. Okay, so you can keep track of all the downloads and all the restores that are created against your account. The preferences will just list the options to open what page you want to open on the login, and also the ability to enable that restore queue we mentioned a while ago. Okay. Okay, so the emergency restore, this is the function, as I said, that you would use if your machine was stolen, was crashed, or if you're just replacing it. So this would be only an instance where you want to restore all the files from your machine. So, you know, if you had 20 gigabytes of files backed up to us, that you'd be restoring all those 20 gigabytes in one go. Okay. Outside of the emergency restore, okay, so the download options we have when you're actually downloading files from the web restore window. Okay, so there's 4 types. So you can download now, which is basically, it would be, to make a comparison, it would be very similar to downloading a file that you would have attached to an email. Okay, so generally small files, and you download them straight away. Okay, the Mozy Restore Manager, as I mentioned a while ago, it's software that installs on your machine, and it downloads and the restore in the background for you. Okay. Archive restores then are zip files with your files. So you would receive a link for an archive restore, and you download that link, and it would have your files in a zip folder. Generally, these are broken up into max size. Generally, for one of these zip files is about 1 gigabyte. So if you're to do a 5 gigabyte restore, you would get 5 links for your individual restore. Media restores, and these are just for our US-based customers at the moment. So this is where, if your restore is of a certain size, you can nominate to get a DVD restore or hard drive restore. Okay, so in that instance, we would send out DVDs with your data burnt onto them, or if it was an exceptionally large restore, we would put it onto a hard drive and ship that to you. Okay. So just to break down each option, the download now option, okay, so it allows you to download a file or a number of files as long as they're under 512 megabytes. Okay, so again, it'll automatically download, so you select your 2 or 3 files or your folder if it's under 512 megabytes, and you just hit the download now button, and it'll download straight in, and all those files will go into a zip folder for you for the download. It's generally the quickest option if you're only wishing to maybe restore a couple of Word documents or PowerPoint presentations or something like that. Small files that you need quickly. Okay. That normally would probably, it'd be kind of the files that you would do the in-client restore with if you were on your machine with the software installed. The Restore Manager. Okay, so generally we would recommend the use of this option if you're going to be restoring files that are larger than 20 gigabytes. Okay, so if you're restoring files or folders larger than 20 gigabytes, this is probably your best option because it will download in the background for you. You can start the process, and all you need to do is make sure that your machine has access to the internet, and it'll run away in the background for you. It will provide you a progress bar on each file, so you can see once the file begins to download how far along it is, and if there's any issues with any files to restore, you can actually see them in the list straight away. The archive restores, as I mentioned, okay, so these are restores. Okay, can everybody hear me okay? Just want to make sure there's no issue with the audio. If you do have any issues with the audio, just raise your hand and I'll go back over something. Okay. Okay, so as I was saying, the archive restore is a restore where you actually restore the files into a self-extracting compressed folder. Generally, we would say restores up to 20, this is probably your best option for restores up to 20 gigabytes in size. That's not saying you have to, you know, that even if you were restoring 30 or 40 gigabytes, you could still use this restore option. We would just recommend that you maybe after the 20 gigabytes, it's easier to use the Restore Manager. but that goes in line as well with the restore manager. You can use that for whatever size restore you want to use as well. It's entirely optional to yourself. These are just kind of usage recommended sizes that we would say, but again, whatever is more comfortable for you and whatever is easier option for yourself is the best option. Okay. Just on archive restores, the links that you get for them, okay, as I said, generally they're broken up. So if you had a 20 gigabyte restore, it would be broken up into 20 zip files, and you would get 20 links for those zip files to download. Okay, those links expire after 7 days. So again, as that's probably more the reason why we say anything over 20 gigabytes, the links might start to expire before you get to download them all. I mean, for most people, they don't have, they don't have a broadband or an internet connection where they could download, 40 gigabytes in less than 7 days. Okay, unless you're one of the lucky ones. And if so, please let me know your internet provider. Media restores, as I said, they're selected only by our US-based customers. Up to 100 gigabytes for a media restore, we generally will put them onto DVDs. Okay, so we burn those files and folders onto DVDs for you and ship them out to you. Okay, a restore over 100 gigabytes, generally we put that onto an external hard drive and ship that to you. Okay. Okay, so now we'll just go through performing an emergency restore. Okay, and then I'll go through the download options, and then we'll go through the restore queue and how to change dates and so on. Okay? So just bear with me a second. Okay, so this is the web access window that you will land on when you log into your account online. As you notice here, you have your dashboard, okay, and your devices. Okay, so from your dashboard is the page you would by default land on when you log in. Okay, from here you'll see your user account information up here. Okay, you'll have notifications on your account, your download history, and if you need to manage your account or product downloads, change your password or log out. Okay, you also have the emergency restore option I mentioned a while ago, and you have the ability to search for your files here on your particular devices. Okay, so if you have more than one device tied to your account, you will be able to select the device that you want to search for those files under, and you can select multiple devices. Okay, so in the summary section here, okay, we see our profile information, so our name and our username, which is generally our email address. Okay, and then devices here lists the actual devices that you have under your account. Okay, so if you can see here, this is my device here, this is the space I've used, and the last backup I've had was 2 days ago. Okay, so as probably a perfect time for me to do this web restore window, I've actually just had my laptop re-imaged yesterday. So it's a good time for me actually to go through this web restore example, because I'm actually using it myself in the next day or two to restore my files back to my machine. Okay, so from here I can see my download history, if I had any downloads in progress, and any notifications on the account. Here's my preferences if I wish to edit those. Okay, so the options I have is where do you want the web access window to start? That's just more of a cosmetic thing, whether you want it to start on the dashboard page or on the devices. Okay, the enable restore queue then is the one I mentioned a while ago. So this is not enabled by default. If you want to select files from various locations on your machine and create one restore with them, then you'll need to enable this restore queue. Okay, so I'm going to enable it now because I'm going to show you how to use it in a minute. Okay, for anybody who signed up to the beta for the Mozy stash, you will also see your stash device here in between the dashboard and the devices tab here. If you have this, if you signed up for the beta for this, the Mozy stash service. Okay, so download history, as I say. Okay, so I'll give you a quick history here. Okay, so just as a quick example, I did an instant download today of my desktop background. So this desktop background, quick restore, okay, and it streamed down straight away this afternoon. Okay, I know. So that was about, I did that about 3 hours ago. As you can see there, it gives me the request time, the type of download it was, its restore status, and then I get information on the file as well. Okay, so it gives me the restore ID, its status, when it was requested, when it was completed, and the total size. Okay. And the restore here from the 6th of September. Okay. Again, it was an archive package restore. I can see, and it gives me information there on it. Okay. So as you can see, again, different types of downloads that I'm using. Okay. So now we're just going to have a look at the emergency restore option. Again, this is a 7-step wizard. Okay. So it'll tell you straight away. Okay. This is you start an emergency restore, which is meant to restore all the files for a single device. Okay, so again, if you don't need to restore all your files, okay, so it's not a situation where you're moving computers, or your computer's been stolen, or you've lost your machine, or anything like that, you wouldn't necessarily use this emergency restore option. Okay, so it'll tell you there, if you don't need to back up all the files, then you have other restore options. And we'll go through those other restore options in a minute. Okay, so I'm just going to hit yes here. Okay, it's then going to ask me to select the device that I want to restore the files from. So if I had multiple devices, I'd have a drop down here and I can select which device I want. So this is the device I want. I hit next, and then I'm asked to name this restore. Okay, so I'm just going to name it webinar. Okay. Hit next, and then select the date I want to restore from. Okay, so I've installed this software today onto this machine. So the last successful backup I had in my old laptop before I had an issue with it and I had to get it re-imaged was probably last Friday. So I'm going to select last Friday, and then I'm going to hit next. Okay, then ask me the 5th step it asks me is, would I like to include deleted files? Okay, this sometimes can confuse people. Because, obviously if I see include deleted files, but if I delete files off my backup, I don't want them to be stored anymore. That's not necessarily what this means. These deleted files are generally the files that were, so we keep versions of your files during backup. So for most Mozy Pro customers, that's for 60 days. Okay, so for 60 days, we keep versions of your files. Okay, so that allows you to restore, say, your Excel file from August the 24th, or your word processing document from the 1st or 2nd of August. And then what that allows you to do is to go back and restore a particular version of the file in the last 60 days. So when you deselect a file from your backup, we free up the storage space for you to continue using that space for storage, but that file stays on our servers for 60 days, just in case that you accidentally deselected that file for backup, or maybe you move that file from its original location and it's become deselected for backup. It's just to ensure that if you accidentally remove a file from your backup, that it's not instantly removed from our servers, because sometimes it may be you might be coming home from work and you might be working late and you might have to work from home, and maybe the kids come in and they press something on the laptop while you're not looking and deselects an important file for you, or they move it to a different location and that location is not selected for backup, and then if it was a situation where we remove that from our server straight away, that file might be in jeopardy. Whereas in that situation, it's just deselected for backup. We keep it for 60 days, and after 60 days have expired, and if it hasn't been added back into the backup, then we remove it from our servers. Okay. Again, it's just a safety precaution for yourselves. Okay. It's not for any benefit for us. It just allows you the security of knowing that if a file is deselected or moved or renamed accidentally, that it's not removed from our servers straight away. So you still have some protection on that file. So sometimes when you do this emergency restore, you might see from your last backup that you have 10 gigabytes backed up. And then you hit this option to include deleted files, and all of a sudden your backup grows to about 12 gigabytes or 13 or 14 gigabytes. And that just could be because you've a lot of different versions of the file over the last 60 days. And we're restoring all that for you. Okay, so if you don't want those, just hit next. Okay. If there's any problems with the way I've described that or anything like that, or anybody found it hard to follow, pop a question in at the end and I can go through it again. Okay. Then you have the options here, how you'd like to receive your files. Okay, for US-based customers, down in this space here, you would have the option to do a media restore. Okay, so here it'll give me the option to do an archive restore. As I mentioned, that will just build the restore for me and send me the links as they're ready, and I will click those links and download those zip files from the servers. The recommended one is the restore manager. So this will happen in the background. So I'm going to select the restore manager, okay, because there's additional options once I hit the next button here. Okay, so what it does is it checks. Okay, so it says here, okay, so notice, so it will check your cookies on your browser to see if you have the restore manager downloaded previously, and if you don't, it gives you the option to download it. Okay, notice that at the moment I can't begin my download because I don't have the restore manager software downloaded. Okay, so I download that, okay, and I leave that download in the background, okay, and it only takes a couple of seconds for it to do. Okay, once I install that, then the process happens that I install it, it'll log in for me, and then it'll show me the restore I've created. Okay, it'll list the amount of files that I've selected for restore, and it'll give me information on it. Okay, then once I'm happy, once I've installed it, I can then begin the download. Okay, so just run it. Okay, and that'll install for me. So this is the restore manager, as I mentioned. I'll leave this run in the background in a second, and I'll just show you. I'll come back to it once it's installed, and I'll show you what happens for the restore once it begins. Okay. So as that installs there, I can begin once that's installed, I can begin my download, and I'll go through it. Okay. So the next step for us is going through the other restore options. Okay, so the next restore options, okay, what you want to go to do is go to your devices, okay, and you can select your machine. Okay, as you know, as we'll see here, okay, if I go into my backup sets and I open up my presentations, okay, I only have one file there at the moment. Okay, this is because I've just reinstalled the software there only a couple hours ago, and I actually didn't run a full backup. It started the backup and I paused it. It's only backed up one file, and even at that, it's only a temporary copy of this open PowerPoint slide. Okay, so how do I get at my other files? What if I want to restore from a previous date? We have this option here, change the date. Okay, so I'm going to go back to last Friday, and I hit go. It tells me, okay, it's going to reset your view. If I had any items selected previously, or I have a restore queue created previously, it'll blank out that restore queue. Okay, so just be careful that if you have selected a couple of files for your restore queue, and now you're wanting to change your date and go back and get a different version of a file, just make sure that you create that restore and start that restore first, because it will blank your restore queue, as it says here. Okay, I'm hitting yes. Okay, and now as you can see there, just as that's loading, it's telling me the date I'm viewing, just so that just to remind you that you're not viewing the most recent backup, and you're actually looking back at a previous date. Okay, and you have the option to change the date. Okay, as you can see, then now I have more files in here. Okay, also on top of that, I have additional folders here in my backup sets. Okay, so my word processing documents. Okay, and I have some presentations. Okay. So I can select those folders. So if I select that entire folder there, okay, down here it'll tell me the file count in there and the total size. Okay, same way here, it'll tell me the current selection, okay, and the amount selected. Now, if I selected that there and I want to go, okay, I'm going to go back into my C drive now and go and look for a particular file or folder as well. When I go back and hit previous, that file, as you can see, gets deselected. This is where the restore queue comes into hand. So I select my presentations, come over here to my action pane on the right hand side, or I can right click and I have the same options that are over my action window over here, listed here. Okay, just click add to the restore queue, okay, and that gets added to the restore queue. Okay, so these files now are added to my restore queue, and I can view my restore queue at any time. Opening up my restore queue, I'll see here that this backup set is in there, and I can open up the folder, or I can begin to download I can begin downloading or removing the folder from my restore queue. If I remove it, it goes blank, and I go back and I start selecting my files again. Okay, so now I'm just going to show you the other restore options. Okay. Okay, so we'll select this one here. Okay, so this file here, as you can see, I can again, the restore all files option here is the exact same as the emergency restore up here. Okay, including deleted files, again, it allows me to show the files that I deselected for backup previously. Okay. Okay, show details on the file. Okay, it will give me it will give me the name of the file, the type of file it is, the size, and so on, and the creation date and modified date. Okay, it'll also give me the location, the file path location on the user's machine. Okay. Download now, as I mentioned. Okay, if I hit that, it'll begin to download for me straight away. Okay, so that generally, as I say, it's like the attachment to it, as you see there, it pops up straight away. It's like an attachment for an email for all intents and purposes, for the closest comparison. And that file is available for me straight away. Okay, so I click that there and it's ready for me now. Okay. Other options that I have, okay, are large download options. Okay, so again, I need to name this. Okay, hit next, and then again I have my download options. Okay, so this is a shorter restore wizard than the emergency restore one, but again it gives me the restore options of the download manager, compressed archives, and if you're a US based customer, it will have the option here for media restores. Okay, so again if I select this one and hit next, okay, it gives me the option again to download the restore manager, okay, and begin the download. Okay. Okay, so that's the additional options for downloading. Okay, just briefly, I'll just show you here the Mozy Restore Manager. Okay, so I sign in here. Okay. It's asking me for my logins here because I actually I have no restores pending. Okay, so because I didn't finish out the restore I was doing a while ago. So what I'm just going to do quickly there is I'm going to select this training folder, which is probably going to be quite large and not too bad. I'm going to quickly hit next, do my restore manager. Okay, I have it downloaded. Okay, so apologies for this now, it's just I'm working off of an image that is doesn't keep cookies on my internet browser. So for yourselves there previously, if you had downloaded the restore manager, it would pick it up straight away for you, and you wouldn't have these 3 steps here. It would just tell you that it has been recognized by the browser, but you'd still have an option down here to actually download the manager again if you wished. Okay, so I'm just going to begin the download there. Okay. Hit next here. Okay, so now it's just telling me, okay, it's asking me where do I want to restore my files to. Okay, so I can preserve the original location or select a new location. Because it's a new machine, I'm going to select a new location. I'm going to restore them to my desktop. Okay, and I'll sort them out from there later. Okay, If you were restoring to your existing machine, you could overwrite the existing files if you wished. Okay, so then it's just giving me the information on the restore, okay, the description of it, okay, the source computer, the number of files, and the size. I'm just going to hit next. It's just confirming those details, and then hit finish. Okay. The restore begins, okay. It's just estimating there. Hitting this option will give me the files that are within the restore. Okay, so as you can see here, okay, it's downloading the files. It lists the files here, okay. Green tick mark, they've been downloaded. Progress bar on the other ones that are downloading at that time. And it's telling me that there's going to be, it's estimating the time as it goes along compared to the bandwidth as available during the restore process. Okay, so it's going to restore those files away there, and I can just keep an eye on those files, or I can just leave it run in the background. It'll run away for me, and I don't have to worry about it until it's finished. If there's any issues with any of the files that I went to download, I can scroll down through this and find the files that had any issue with the download process. I can pause it also if I wish, and I can come back and resume it later on. Okay, so that'll work away in the background for me. Okay, so as I was saying, in terms of the restore queue, okay, you can just select a couple of files from different locations. So if we select these two files here, add them to the restore queue. Okay, they get selected. I go back here. I go into my desktop. Okay, and I select these two here, add them to my restore queue. Okay, I'm going here now and see these 4 files now are grouped together, and I can select them all and create them as a restore. Okay, so that's the ins and outs of how to do a web restore in terms of an emergency restore where you're restoring all your files, or the situation where you just need to select particular restores for particular files and folders with the additional restore options. Okay, so that's the end of the walkthrough. Okay, so if there's any questions, I'm just going to pause that so it doesn't affect any of the webinar that we're running at the moment in case it tries to take up some of the bandwidth. Okay, so there should be a questions section below that you will see pop up for in your window. If you have any questions, just pop them in there. If you have none, thank you very much for joining us. Really appreciate you taking the time to join us again today. I hope it was beneficial for you and you learned 1 or 2 things that maybe you didn't know previously, or even just a quick refresher on the stuff that you just hadn't used in a while. Okay. As I say, I'll leave the questions open for a few minutes. If there's no questions, I'll wrap it up. And again, thanks very much for joining. Our next webinar will be the second last Wednesday or the last Wednesday in October, and we will send out an invitation a week prior to the webinar. Apologies for the late email this month. I had been out on an external partner training and the email hadn't actually sent for me. So that's why it was such late notice. Henry, in terms of the bandwidth that Mozy provides, we don't limit the bandwidth in any way from our end, so it just entirely depends on the amount of bandwidth that you have available on from your own internet provider. So for your own general day-to-day bandwidth for your own connection to the internet. We don't limit our bandwidth at all, so that you can download as fast as is possible for your restore or even your uploads to us. It is entirely dependent on the bandwidth that you have available. Does that answer your question, Henry? Just let me know. Ali, Lisa, thank you very much for joining us. No problem, Henry. Thanks very much. Have a good day. Okay, just while we're waiting for any more questions there, I have this session recorded, so I will be it will be edited and cut down so that to take away the time here that we're covering over with waiting on questions, to a condensed version for the website. Once that goes up, I'll send out the link to it for you, just so that you have it in case you want to go back over anything, or if you want to show it to anybody else in your organization. They always go up every month. All of our webinars go up every month to support.mozy.com in the community section there. Okay. No problem at all, Mark. Thank you very much for joining. Okay, so if there are going to be no more questions, then we'll wrap it up there for today. Again, thanks everybody for joining, and I look forward to seeing you again next month. Have a good day now, everybody.